As promised in my last video, I said we were going to talk about the Honda VF1000R this week, and as you can see, here it is. A little bit of detail about it, not too much, but we'll get it out for a test ride and have a chat about it while it's on the road. As you can see, it's an incredibly long bike. It's got a 59.1 inch wheelbase, weighs about 255 kilos with fuel, 16 inch front wheel on the front and a 17 inch rear on the back. Steel cradle frame, cast aluminium swing arm. Dual disc on the front with dual caliper, and they are fully floating out. Actually works surprisingly well even for this era. The 16 inch front wheel is great for this bike. I know it was a bit of a gimmick back in the 80s until everyone went to 17s, but on this particular model, because of its length, it does really work well. Engine wise, it produces about 122 horsepower claimed by the factory, with an added 25 horsepower from the fairing, believe it or not, although that was in the brochure, so I probably wouldn't take that as read. You might get an extra equivalent of 5 horsepower from the aerodynamic styling of the bike, with its beautiful flowing lines and back here. Yeah, it's probably an additional 5 horsepower when you're flat out, but wherever you're going to do that these days, I've no idea. Clocks, standard analog clocks, very similar to the Honda NS400s. And yeah, the fairing, what they call FRP, or fibre reinforced plastic, which made it quite light. When this bike was originally designed, it was a bit of a homologation special with a lot of innovative engineering that went into it, particularly with the cam gear drives at the time, you know, in the V4 engine, which was to replace the chain driven cams. It works surprisingly well, and it has actually gone on into a lot of later models of Hondas, particularly the VFR range and the RC30. Yeah, it's a brilliant bit of engineering. These bikes were generally over-engineered after the earlier fiasco with the line boring of the previous models, which suffered from what they call chocolate cams. This model was totally over-engineered, and you can see that in the way it looks. But yeah, I'll come back to you in a bit with some more info after we've been out for a test ride. See what you think. Let's see how we get on. So here we are on the bike, and straight away once you're moving, the size starts to make sense. Doesn't feel nervous, doesn't feel too twitchy. You don't flick it into corners, you just guide it, and that long wheelbase gives it a settled feel. It's coming up to a right-hander here, just quick dab of the brakes, pick a line. Once it's set into the bend, just holds it. You're not constantly correcting it. Pick your arc and it stays there. So here we are, come through a local village, and at lower speeds, yeah, you're aware it's a big motorcycle. It's nearly 60 inches long, about 250 kilos. But it's not too awkward, it's quite balanced, and with the torque that it's got, you just don't have to work it too hard. You just roll it on and off it goes. Once you're back into open bends, this is where it really belongs. Long, fast sweepers. You're not wrestling with it, you just flow with it. And that's thing about this bike as well, it doesn't look too dramatic, but it's covering ground quickly. Probably the endurance thinking in it, stability over hysteria. Consistency over sharpness, and if you're smooth with it, it rewards you. When you start driving out of corners, that 3/4 just builds torque cleanly. You don't have to change the revs, you can leave it in fifth and it'll just gather and pull. It looks like a lot of motorcycle, it feels like a lot of motorcycle, but on the right road, it just works. So here we are back in the garage after the test ride. Let's have a little review and I'll tell you what I think. I think this bike is very dishonest, because how can something that looks like this, it's really long, it's heavy, looks like an awkward bike, and it's not. It's really a brilliant bike. It really does ride so well. You know, it's wheelbase of 59.1 inches, it's 255 kilo weight, it's old brakes, it's awkward looking seating position with the handlebars which seem to be miles away. I mean, you think, if I sit on there, how am I going to ever reach them? But it really does work well on the road. It's such a delight to ride. Those initial thoughts when you look at it, you think, oh, that's going to be a bit of a handful. It isn't. The engine, as I said earlier, 120 horsepower, more than enough for today's road. 92 Newton meters of torque. The power delivery is just linear. This pulls from low down, like 2,500 RPM in top gear. Handling wise, the 16-inch front wheel works so well on this bike, and when this was originally designed back in the 80s, 16-inch front wheels were a bit of a gimmick, but on this bike it just works because the bike is so long and it weighs so much. It's got a lot of mass and inertia, and going into a corner you have to commit to it and you might have to muscle it in a bit, but with that 16-inch front wheel it just helps it turn in so much more easier. Whereas if it had an 18-inch front wheel, which were more common of a bike of this day, it would have been a bit awkward to turn, but it really does suit it. And the brakes give you bags of feel on them. They've got full floating disc, as I said earlier, dual piston calipers, and with the torque reaction anti-dive, which is probably the best of the anti-dive systems from the 80s, it really does work, and it stops that weight transfer, pitching forwards, and it really does stabilize the bike. I can't say enough. It just does what it's supposed to do, and it does it really well. Now, this bike was designed in the 80s for endurance racing. It was supposed to be, you know, stable, resilient, and consistent for lap after lap after lap. It never really did anything in endurance racing. It wasn't that good. Wade Garner rode it and called it the Marshmallow, which it probably was on the racetrack because of its weight. Obviously, they uprated the suspension and changed things like that, but he never really achieved what he wanted to achieve on it, on the track anyway, and I can see why. But on the roads, it's really at home on long, windy bends. You wouldn't want to race an RGV 250 down some twisties, but this thing, like I said, you pick a line, you commit to it, you stick to it, and it's just planted. It feels solid. It doesn't feel like it's going to let you down at all. For a bike this age in today's world, it's probably more relevant than a lot of the 200 horsepower superbikes with all their electronics and all their gizmos. It's really comfortable to ride as well. It is my go-to bike when I need something a bit calmer, because it just gives me that. I can relax a little bit more on it. It's not as skittish as a light two-stroke. I suppose you could call it a modern day sports tourer. In the day when it was designed by Honda, it had all the latest technology, you know, with the cam gear drive, which makes the engine super smooth. The clutch system that was designed, it was like the first slipper clutch that was ever invented on a bike, which stops all those you know, draggy downshifts from the back wheel loading up. Technology really was ahead of its time. A showpiece for everything that Honda had got going for it. And I mean, to me, it's a beautiful bike. I love it. Some people hate it. Some people might call it boring. The seating position for such a bike is actually quite comfortable. I'll get on it and show you. The bars, they look miles away from you. I mean, this thing is as long as a train. It's not as bad as you think. So yeah, it really is a great bike. Yeah, there you go, the VF1000R, bike from the 80s that's still very relevant today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more content like this, I've got a video here from the GP80s replicas, which was very sort of in line with what we've been talking about today. You might enjoy that. Don't forget to hit subscribe, give us a like, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the VF1000R. Was it your bag? Was it your poster bike as a kid? Or did you prefer something else? Yeah, let us know, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.